Wenger said, "We will win the league." So what on earth happened against Bournemouth? There is a moment in every Arsenal season that feels like the whole year is balancing on a knife's edge. Today was one of those moments. Arsene Wenger, the greatest manager this club has ever had, came out not long ago and said it plainly. He said, "We will win the league." Not we might, not we have a good chance. He said we will win it. He said he is very confident. Coming from a man who knows this club better than almost anyone alive, those words carried weight. They carried hope. They carried the kind of belief that only a man who has seen everything can carry. And then Bournemouth came to the Emirates and beat us 2-1. So today we need to talk properly, not just react, not just vent, but actually sit down and go through everything that has happened, what it means and where we go from here. Because this season is not over, not even close, but we cannot pretend today did not hurt. Let us start with Wenger because he matters here before we get into the match itself. It is worth spending a moment on what Wenger actually said because it sets the scene for everything. Wenger has been following this Arsenal side closely. He has praised Mikel Arteta publicly. He has called this squad Arsenal's most complete ever, and he has said that there are 2 or even 3 quality players for every single position in this team. Think about that. The man who built the Invincibles, the man who gave us Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira and Robert Pires is saying this current squad is the most complete he has seen at the club. He has also said something interesting about the pressure Arsenal are under. He acknowledged that the players are dealing with a fear of losing. He did not say they lack quality. He said the pressure and the fear of losing are the real challenges, and he believes that once this team gets over the line and wins the league, it will not just be a single trophy. He believes it could be the start of a long and dominant era for Arsenal. Does that sound familiar to you, Gooners? Because it should. That is exactly what we all felt when Arteta first came in and started building something special. That feeling that this time it is different. That this time we are not just promising, we are actually delivering. Wenger has also praised Arteta's ability to handle difficult moments. He has said he does not speak to Arteta too often because he does not want to distract him. He respects the focus that Arteta brings, but he is watching and he still believes. So hold on to that because we are going to need it after what happened today. The match, let us go through it. Arsenal versus Bournemouth, Saturday, April 11th, 2026 at the Emirates. Arsenal had the chance to go 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. 12 points. With the number of games left in the season, that would have been as close to a guarantee as football ever gets. The title would have been ours to lose in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. Instead, we lost 2-1. Bournemouth went ahead inside 17 minutes. Junior Krupi scored a close-range goal that came from a Bournemouth side that was simply more switched on, more ready, more alive in those early moments. It was the kind of goal that makes you shift in your seat and think, this does not look right. Victor Gyökeres brought us back level from the penalty spot in the 35th minute. For a moment, it felt like we had woken up. We had the momentum. We were at home. The Emirates was behind the team, but Arsenal struggled to create after that. Struggled is probably being kind. We could not find the openings. Bournemouth pressed brilliantly. They closed down every passing lane, and the midfield that is supposed to control games looked hesitant and uncertain. Then in the 74th minute, Alex Scott scored the winner, and that was that. Final score, Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. Now, Bournemouth are a good side. Do not let anyone tell you different. Under Andoni Iraola, they have been absolutely superb this season. This result extended their unbeaten run in the Premier League to 12 games. 12 games without losing. They have now won at the Emirates in back-to-back seasons. That is not a fluke. That is a well-coached, well-organised, hungry football team doing what well-coached, well-organised, hungry football teams do. But that does not make this any easier to take. The title race has just got very interesting. Here is the situation in cold, hard numbers. Before today, Arsenal was sitting comfortably at the top. A win today would have put us 12 points clear of Manchester City. Instead, Man City can now cut the gap to just 6 points if they beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Sunday. 6 points. With Arsenal having played 2 more games than City, what does that actually mean? It means City have games in hand. It means every time Arsenal drop points now, City do not even need to do anything extraordinary. They just need to win their own games and the gap keeps closing. It also means that the game coming up at the Etihad, the top of the table clash between Arsenal and Man City in the Premier League, is now absolutely enormous. If City beat Chelsea tomorrow and then beat Arsenal at home, that gap could be down to just 3 points. In a title race, 3 points is nothing. 3 points is 1 game. 3 points is basically saying the title is 50-50. Nobody wanted to be in that situation. We had the chance to avoid it today and we did not take it. 3 losses in 4 games. That is the bit nobody wants to talk about. Let us be honest with each other, because that is what this community is for. Arsenal have lost 3 of their last 4 games across all competitions. That is not a blip. That is a run of form that needs addressing urgently. First, there was the League Cup final defeat to Manchester City. Painful, but you can live with it. City are a top side and cup finals can go either way. Then came the FA Cup exit against Southampton. Southampton, who are fighting relegation from the second division, that one stung more. That one raised real questions about focus and intensity. Then came the Champions League win against Sporting Lisbon on Tuesday, which was a positive result. A 1-0 win away from home in Europe is nothing to dismiss lightly. But then today, home in the league to Bournemouth with the title on the line. Can you see why some fans are nervous? Can you see why the atmosphere at the Emirates after the final whistle was tense? And there were reports of Arsenal fans clashing with Bournemouth staff after the game. A Bournemouth analyst celebrated the result, which is completely understandable, and some Arsenal supporters took exception to it. Stewards had to intervene. That tells you everything about the emotional state around the club right now. Nobody is in a good mood. And honestly, nobody should have to pretend they are. What did Arteta say after the game? Mikel Arteta spoke to reporters after the match, and he did not hide from how bad it was. He called it a big punch in the face. He said Arsenal were very far from the level we are expecting. He said he did not want to make excuses, but he also said something that tells you where his head is at. He said the squad needs everyone fit and available. The ones who are not with us, we need them available with us. He is clearly feeling the strain of the injury situation and the fixture congestion. He then said the players who are available need to stand up, embrace this challenge and stand up again. He said it twice. Stand up. That is not an accident. That is a manager telling his players in public that he needs more from them. Arteta is not a man who panics. He is not a man who loses his composure easily, but you could hear the frustration in those words. You could hear a manager who knows exactly what is at stake and is looking at his squad and wondering if they know it too. So here is a question for you, Gooners. Do you think the players understand the magnitude of what is happening right now? Do you think they feel it the way we feel it in the stands and at home watching on television? Martin Keown summed it up perfectly speaking on TNT Sports after the game. Martin Keown said a lot of things that needed to be said. Keown is not a man who sugarcoats things. He loves this club, but he will tell you the truth. He said Bournemouth were magnificent. He said the Cherries pressed exceptionally well and that Arsenal were not developing play through midfield. He said the pressure seemed too much for Arsenal at times and that the energy was simply not there. But the thing Keown said that really stood out was about Bournemouth having 22 days of rest going into this game. Arsenal, on the other hand, had been playing Champions League football in midweek and had a much more congested schedule. Keown acknowledged that. He said it is not an excuse, but it is the context. He also said something that every Arsenal fan needs to hear right now. He said the title is still in Arsenal's hands because Man City are coming up in the Premier League. Arsenal will face City directly. That is the kind of game that can define a season. That is the kind of game that separates the teams that win titles from the teams that finish second. He also said that now is when personalities have to come forward, leaders have to emerge. The players who have been comfortable in a winning squad need to step up and become the kind of players who drag teams over the finish line. Is that too much to ask? Or is that exactly what champions do? Now let us talk about the style of play. This is a conversation that has been building for a while in the Arsenal community and it deserves a proper airing. A lot of supporters have been frustrated with how Arsenal play at the moment, and that frustration is understandable. Compared to earlier periods under Arteta, where the football was quick, sharp and exciting to watch, this version of Arsenal can feel more cautious, more structured, less free. But here is the thing that gets lost in those conversations. The approach has been working. Think about where Arsenal are right now. Top of the Premier League, Champions League quarter-finals, still in with a genuine shot at the title after 3 years of finishing second. That does not happen by accident. That does not happen with a team that is just hoping for the best. That happens because of structure, discipline, and a manager who has built something solid from the ground up. The theory that has been floating around, and it is not a bad one, is that Arsenal are playing within themselves, that there is another gear that Arteta has the handbrake on deliberately, that defensive stability and game management are the priority right now because in a tight title race, one mistake, one moment of rashness can cost you everything. If that is the case, and there is a reasonable argument that it is, then what we are watching is not Arsenal failing to play good football. It is Arsenal managing the season, saving the best for when it matters most. But today we needed the handbrake off. Today we needed the other gear, and it did not come. That is the honest truth of it. What does Wenger's warning about AI tell us? This might seem like a strange thing to bring up in a match reaction piece, but stay with me. Wenger, when talking about Arteta, mentioned that he had warned him about over-relying on new technologies like artificial intelligence. He said AI is a powerful tool, but a manager must not become dependent on it for key decisions. Now, Wenger is not saying AI is bad. He is saying that football is still a human game. It is still about reading the moment, feeling the energy, making decisions that no data can fully capture. It is still about looking at your players in the tunnel before a game and knowing whether they are ready or not. Today, something was off. You could see it from the first minute. The energy was not there. The intensity was not there. Bournemouth was sharper, hungrier, more switched on. And no amount of data analysis tells you how to fix that in the 38th minute when you are 1-0 down at home and the crowd is anxious. That is the human side of football. That is where managers either show their quality or they do not. And it is also where players either step up or they do not. Do you think Arteta got his preparation wrong today? Or do you think the players simply did not deliver on what was asked of them? The Champions League adds another layer as if the Premier League title race were not enough. Arsenal now have to play Sporting CP in the Champions League quarter-final in midweek. This is an enormous game. The first leg ended 1-0 to Arsenal, which means they are in a good position, but Sporting are a dangerous side. Victor Gyökeres, who scored our penalty today, was one of the best players in that first leg, and he is the kind of forward who can win a tie on his own. But here is the psychological challenge. After today's result, after the tension at the Emirates, after the fans clashing with Bournemouth staff, Arsenal need to completely reset mentally within a matter of days. They need to go from the hurt of today to the focus and intensity required for a Champions League quarter-final. Can they do it? Yes, of course they can. This squad has shown resilience before, but it requires exactly the kind of mental strength that Wenger was talking about when he said the fear of losing is the main challenge now. Keon said it perfectly. He said, make sure the wheels do not come off this season. That is the job now. Keep the wheels on, keep it together, get through the Champions League, then go to the Etihad and get the points. What Bournemouth showed us, let us give proper credit to Bournemouth and Andoni Areola because they deserve it. 12 games unbeaten in the Premier League is a remarkable achievement for a club of Bournemouth's size and resources. They are not spending hundreds of millions in the transfer market. They are not buying Galacticos. They are a well-drilled, well-coached team that believes in what they are doing and executes it brilliantly. Alex Scott, who scored the winner today, is one of the most exciting young players in English football. Antoine Semenyo has been outstanding all season. Junior Krupi, who opened the scoring, is exactly the kind of clinical finisher that punishes you when you are not at your best defensively. Bournemouth celebrated today like they had won something special because for them it was something special. Back-to-back wins at the Emirates, a massive result in the title race, and a statement to the rest of the Premier League that they are here to be taken seriously. Arsenal could learn something from that mentality, that hunger, that willingness to celebrate every single win like it means everything, because that energy, that collective belief is exactly what this Arsenal squad needs to find again right now. Is the title still Arsenal's to lose? Yes, but only just. Arsenal is still top of the Premier League. They still have games in hand in terms of quality. Even if City have games in hand on the table, they are still in the Champions League. Wenger still believes, Arteta still believes, and most of the fan base, underneath all the frustration and all the hurt of today, still believes, but the margin for error has shrunk dramatically, where once Arsenal could afford to drop the odd point here and there and still feel comfortable, now every single game matters. The loss to Bournemouth has taken away that cushion. It has made the title race a genuine race again, not just a formality waiting to be confirmed. Man City know this, Pep Guardiola knows this, and you can be absolutely certain that the City squad will have watched today's result and felt a surge of belief. They were almost out of it. Now they are right back in. So what needs to happen? Arsenal need to win midweek in Europe. They need to keep the squad as fit and fresh as possible. They need to go to the Etihad with a plan, with belief, and with the kind of performance that we have not seen from them in their last few games. And they need Arteta to stand up, not just with words after the game, but with decisions and selections and a tactical approach that gets the best out of this squad at the most important moment of the season. The fans have a role too, let us not forget that either. The scenes after today's game with fans clashing with Bournemouth staff are not what this club is about. Anger is understandable, frustration is understandable, but taking it out on opposition staff who celebrated a win they fully deserved is not the answer. What Arsenal need right now is the kind of support that lifts the team, not the kind that adds to the pressure. The next home game, the next time those fans are at the Emirates, they need to create an atmosphere that makes the players feel 10 feet tall, not an atmosphere that feels like a tribunal. Wenger once said this club is built on a certain class, a certain dignity, a certain way of doing things that still applies even in the hard moments, especially in the hard moments. We will win the league. Remember, Arsene Wenger said we will win the league. He did not say it lightly. He said it because he has watched this squad, he has watched Arteta, and he sees something that he believes in. He sees a team on the edge of something significant, a team that has all the pieces, a team that just needs to find the belief and the energy to get over the final hurdle. Today was a setback. There is no other way to describe it. It hurt, it opened the door for City. It put pressure on Arsenal that they did not need heading into a Champions League quarter-final. But this season is not over, not by a long way. Arsenal still have it in their hands. They still have the quality, they still have the manager. And somewhere in that dressing room, after all the disappointment of today, there are players who are angry enough and good enough to respond. The question is, will they? What do you think, Gooners? Has today changed your belief in Arsenal winning the title? Can Arteta find the response we need in midweek? And most importantly, do you think Wenger is still right? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us talk about it. Come on, you Gunners.